I'm here to talk about the work that many of you have been at for many, many years, and then apologize up front that we're so late to the party and actually building interactive television products. But at the same time, I actually think we're probably the first brand to get out and do what we're doing, which is really bringing the internet and the television together in a way that we think is incredibly unique and really powerful, and indicates what's going to happen as the industry gets its shit together, let's say. You guys know that building interactive television and building apps for TV is incredibly complicated. There's legal hurdles, there's rights hurdles, there's technical hurdles, there's content hurdles. And we've been at this quietly for over 2 years now, trying to lay the groundwork for building out a capability that as internet and TV come together, I think will unleash and unlock an entirely new class of products and capabilities for consumers everywhere. Before I show it to you, I want to give you just a little bit of a background on CNN. We have about 17 million unique visitors every day come across CNN.com and CNN Mobile's apps and our website, our mobile web. For 7 years in a row, we've been the largest news provider on mobile. This was my pitch to Dewey to get him to come work for us, by the way, which was somewhat successful. So we're bigger than Yahoo, we're bigger than AOL, and mobile, we're bigger than HuffPo. And we've had this advantage for a long time, partially because we've got a 3-letter URL, which people type in really simply, but also because CNN is associated with breaking news. And that works particularly well for mobile devices when people want to be alerted with what's going on in the world. When you look globally across all of our platforms, it's about 204 million unique visitors a month, which we think makes us about the largest news provider on the planet, at least for traditional news players. What's happened over the last year or so for us has been an incredible explosion of video consumption in particular, and that's really important for us with CNN, where we're known and famous for bringing visual images around news into homes and mobile devices and web devices. And so you see over the last 2 years the burst of consumption of video on our digital platforms. And there's 2 key things that have driven that. One is mobile and people watching a lot more video on mobile devices. And the second is what was discussed earlier, which is TV Everywhere and authentication, which has meant that most of our efforts to this point have been about bringing that video infrastructure we have on television, breaking it into component parts, building an infrastructure that will allow us to ingest video from anywhere in the world, cut it down, transcode it, and distribute it to every device in almost real time. There's over $1 billion of infrastructure put into that at CNN now over the last 10 years, and our capabilities to get video out to all these places, part of what is going to unlock what I'm going to show you in the product I'm going to demonstrate today. And as sort of a glamour slide, we really are starting to think of ourselves as the news alerting platform for the world. And what we're trying to do, what we've done for the last few years, is really work to bring TV to the internet. And the way that is represented, if you look at our homepage, is we're, I think, still the only network today that's streaming our television network live on our homepage. So when I talked about the 17 million uniques who come every day, they're seeing our television network, and they're able to click and from there authenticate in and watch the television network. And that's all fine and well. I mean, really, in many ways, it's table stakes. Again, we're the only ones who are streaming this on our homepage today and bringing our full network in to everybody who comes. But it's a little old-fashioned, honestly, now, thinking about watching live television on the internet. So what we're really focused on, and this thing that we've been working at for the last couple of years, is really bringing the internet to TV. And when that happens, again, I'm speaking to all of you who've lived this for so long, it's going to be transformative for the way that people consume content, in particular in the news space. So what we've done is we've created a whole product that's called CNNx, and I want to show you how that works here really quick on my iPad. Actually, it's Rajan's iPad. If you guys can bring the iPad up on the screen, that would be fantastic. So if you go into the CNN app today, there we go, and you click on Watch CNN, this takes you into our authenticated experience. So today with DirecTV, Cox, and Cablevision, you would authenticate in and you would get the live feed. I'm on the Wi-Fi in the room, so it's going to maybe be a little jerky. So this is real time, real product, real live demo, probably a mistake coming out of the gate. But so you have the live network up here. I have the sound down right now so you can hear me talk. What happens with CNNx is you can take the live feed and you can squeeze it back, and now you see on the right here, you see the rundown of the show. And what I can do with this rundown is I can go back up to 24 hours, and I can go, let's say, to New Day this morning, which is our morning show, and I can unpack that, and I can see the rundown for New Day, and I can say, oh, here's this clip on Sterling's not going to sell the Clippers after all. And I can click, and it will drop me directly into that segment of the television programming in real time. So, humbly, I'll say it's a pretty, we're honestly really excited about this, because what we've done now is we've atomized our newscast. We've taken the capability that historically has only been in our control rooms, and we're bringing it into the hands of consumers everywhere, where they can go and decide what they want to watch and what order they want to watch it. And on top of that, below, you see all of the digital content we have related to that story. So here's a piece from Bleacher Report, which is our sports partner. So here's the article from Bleacher Report that they wrote that day, or earlier today, about this story, and the video squeezes back into the left. So I can X that out. So if I want to see contextual information, so here's a clip that we have, and I want to watch a video clip again. I got the live feed running up in the right with the Nielsen marks and the audio. I have the audio up here. I guess I can bring the audio up. I can then watch an on-demand clip if I want, and the live broadcast will pause, and the on-demand clip will come up, which I can take to full screen if I want. Or I can bring back, and I can X that out and go back into the live broadcast. So what this is going to do is not only put this incredible amount of control into the consumer's hands, and I'll show you again because this is live. We're assembling this live and in real time. So right now we have this Oregon shooting, this horrible shooting that happened earlier today, and in real time all of the contextual information we have, well, here it just flipped to the story about the potential accidental death, if it was a death of these 5 soldiers in Afghanistan, and whether or not it was friendly fire. And you can see right down below in real time the contextual information we have from digitals popped up on the screen. This is incredibly powerful for breaking news, because if we have an earthquake that happens or some breaking news event, oftentimes we're getting it up on the screen as quickly as we can, but we might have photos and imagery, and to be able to have somebody be able to come in and take a look at a tweet that's popped up and be able to click through that tweet very quickly and see that is very important for us as a brand from a breaking news perspective. This also will work for on-demand content. So if I go in here to Bourdain, we can bring up the Bourdain series. This one happens to be on Brazil. And then down here, bring in all the contextual information about Bourdain. What this is also going to do is unlock whole new ways of bringing advertising in to the television experience. Because we're going to be able to contextually deliver advertising based on the content that comes up in the broadcast in real time. You can't buy advertising like that on TV today. You can only buy adjacency to a program. So you might be a sponsor of Bourdain, but when you come back into the live experience and you want to see what's going on right now, it's possible that an advertiser could buy particular subjects, and every time that comes up on the screen in real time, their advertising message comes in. You could also imagine that we went into advertising break, that you could have the advertisement from television running up here in the main screen, and then down below, you could have contextual information for that advertiser down here. So if you have a Lexus ad running, you might have down here a photo gallery of the interiors of that car. You could have an invitation to get a test drive. You could have other videos they have related to that automobile or other products or services from Lexus in that example. So the advertising opportunity that opens up in here is pretty tremendous as well. So what's going to happen? So this is now available, and it's available today on your iPad. I'm also actually announcing today that we're bringing the web version out, and you'll be able to click through from CNN.com and authenticate and watch it on the web as well on your laptop. But we're building this capability into set-top boxes as well. So the idea is by the end of this year, most likely, you will see the first versions of this. You can take me back to the presentation. The first versions of this appear in set-top boxes. So if you're watching CNN, you'll press a button on your remote, it'll squeeze back, and that interactive experience from CNNx will come up on your screen with a little bit of a different UX that's built for a D-pad remote that would allow you to scroll through and get that contextual information. And so all that capability is going to come in through the next generation set-top boxes, potentially like the X1, certainly with DirecTV and their next generation set-top boxes will be coming into a home as well. So we're really excited about it. We call it CNNx, and it will be, it's available now, and it'll be on set-top boxes by the end of the year. So I just wanted to show you guys that, and then I thought maybe we could do some Q&A if you guys had questions you wanted to ask or whatever. And we have Rajan Prasad here, who's the product manager and owner who built it, is also in the room for you guys to talk with him after as well. Okay?
Looks great. That's a lot of work, and you know, CNN over the years has been trying, you know, at different times to come up with a different form of interactive TV. You have been in different stages, you know, experimenting, and I think that's great. And I think everybody appreciates the fact that you guys take risks when you can, when you figure out the right deals where you can move forward. Now, I guess the first question I have is, and I'm assuming the answer is it's free. Is there a business model behind that besides advertising, or do you have to subscribe to this, or is it?
Yeah,
really
so it's authenticated through your through an MVPD. So you have to be a cable or satellite subscriber in order to get this. Obviously, we make money in two ways. Those cable and satellite providers paying us license fees for the content, for which we are including this in the suite of services we offer them. And then also, as I mentioned, the advertising experience. I think the advertising experience is probably going to be the most transformative that's going to come in here, not only for the contextual delivery of the advertising, but also the ability to place ancillary content from that brand inside of an experience like this. And then you can just imagine over time, like once we've authenticated and we know who you are and you're inside of CNNx and you're at home, you could take a segment of television and save it or share it off of your television through Twitter, post it to your Facebook wall, and save it into your app, let's say, potentially.
That functionality is available now to do that?
It's not, but it will be. I mean, once we do this, once we know that the set-top box is addressable, and once we can identify that back to the family or the individual, and then we authenticate back to the iPad or the iPhone, then you're going to be able to playlist your news. Right? You'll be able to take segments of television and in real time share those across in your devices. I mean, you can do state-based play with Netflix right now. You start on your iPad, you pause it, you get your Apple TV at home, you pull it up, and it's ready for you in the spot you paused it off your iPad. That capability absolutely should be there, I think, as table stakes for every television network, and certainly for CNN, I think it'll be there very soon.
So you're talking about being able to identify clips that you're interested in, or segments of a clip, and share it to another device. You're not talking about sharing a piece of news to somebody else elsewhere.
Yeah, both of those things.
Well, Replay TV, got crucified for that many years ago for sharing content, right? The studios put them out of business because of that. And you're saying...
Well, so here's the trick. We own all of our own content.
Right.
So, this is a big internal infrastructure play that is Doing what we did here is incredibly hard for an outside company to do because they don't own the distribution chain, the rights for the content, the technology stack. We have producers now in every single control room we have across the country in real time, appending the rundown for the show with the contextual content, building the database of what that content is and what it's about. You know, there's a lot of infrastructure that goes into being able to pull something like this off, which will mean it'll be, I think, in the beginning, a relatively limited number of players. But all of this is built on an open technology stack and an open infrastructure that will allow us to port it into all kinds of other places and plug in third-party APIs.
What are you using?
Well, I'll let Rajan go through the details of that if we want, and there's a lot of proprietary stuff that we don't want to share. But what I'll say from a product perspective is we will be able to bring in things like, you know, let's say a Google Maps API. So if there's a bombing that happens in Afghanistan and you want to know exactly where that is, right now when you watch television, you have to hope and pray that we're going to throw a map up on the screen that's going to tell you where it is. Well, with CNNx, click on the map, and the news clip running up in the top corner, you can zoom in and see where that is geographically. So those types of capabilities, I think, are going to come into this product and certainly into the television space.
But that's using available services, which is, you know, a great strategy. But as I asked Matt Strauss, opening the platform up for third-party developers?
Yeah, I don't see why we won't. I mean, I think we need to get the product right first, and getting a product right requires, I think, control in a closed environment to make something that's really good. But the infrastructure is in place to plug in third parties as we decide to. And so having that flexibility down the line to do it, I think is the most important thing.
There's a revolution now also, revolution. Let me qualify that. There are various platforms out there, you know, small stage, you know, very small groups of people, small stage startups. I swear my brain will be back to normal next week. You know, everyone's experimenting with, you know, a news platform, right? Yeah. Well, that's a generalization. There are various people who are experimenting with creating a platform where anybody can tell their own news program, create a TV show out of it, click, click, click. I don't know if I want to go through all the names, but there's a lot of competition, I think, that's going to be emerging in the news business for people on the street to create their own news channel. Yeah. The broadcasters, potentially, other ones that feel like they're more news-oriented, allowing anybody, I mean, you even have the iReports, which to some extent, you know, competes, although to some extent with your news covering. But it doesn't. I mean, obviously, I think you do a great job supporting that. But to what extent are you looking for or want to partner with other platforms or other technologies that allow people on the street and viewers to get involved with this platform to bring the stories on the street into the CNN environment? That's the question.
Yeah, again, we have iReport, which certainly does that for citizen journalists. I think when you think about where CNNx is, which is in its infancy and very small, if we can get it to scale and get it to be used by many people, then it allows us to harness our scale and enable others to potentially come in and partner with us. We have a pretty strong history of doing that. We've done it with Facebook. We've done it with Twitter. We were the first ever to do the YouTube debates for the presidential election in 2008. So we're, I think, one of the most open traditional media players when it comes to partnering with new companies and partnering with outside players. We get a little precious about our core competition. I don't think you'll see Fox News feeds coming in here. But certainly any other kinds of enabling technologies that can help us make this product better, you'll see us be open to.
Are there any other questions in the audience besides, it can't just be me? Anybody have a question? No questions? Oh, yeah. There's one back there. Don't be shy, you guys. Come on, this is a community. Speak up. Mike, can we turn on the mic, please? Audience mic.
Just shout it out. I got you. I can hear you.
James here from Cisco.
Hey.
How much of your curation of the data is automatic? on how much of it is done by an editorial team? And do you see that split changing?
Yeah, and also I want to say thank you to you, because Cisco's been huge in helping us think about how to port this over to set-top boxes. And we gave a team of developers at Cisco the code base, and they turned it into a ready product on a set-top box very quickly, which was incredibly impressive. Right now, it is more manual than it should be. So over time, as we get our tagging and text, there's no taxonomy system for broadcast television. I mean, there kind of is. We have something called iNews, but it doesn't tie into anything else for other pieces of content from other places. So as our core services get tagged properly, as the taxonomy gets set up, and then potentially even with third parties, we will be able to sort and dynamically append content without a lot of human interference. You know, for us, the more people I can have out in the field creating content, and the more I can have algorithms and servers doing the attachment of that content or the distribution of it, the better off we'll be. And so that is certainly the vision for where it's going to go. But for now, accuracy is more important than anything for us. And you can have, you know, like you use that Sterling example, just have so many different pieces of content. We need to make sure that it's the most recent, the most relevant. So for now, it's largely manual.
Well, mine's in the same zone, and that is you bought Zeit. CNN
Nick,
bought,
tell them who you are.
Nick DiMartino. I'm a big fan of Zeit, and CNN bought it, and I'm wondering the degree to which this platform could, if not at launch, eventually become a personalization engine for news as well.
Yeah, so we sold Zeit to Flipboard, but we have a long-range partnership, and thank you, because I love Zeit too. And we have a long-range partnership with Flipboard, and so when we first imagined this product, I imagined it being highly personalized. I mean, look, the dream here is I tell my television, right, or the cloud, I'm into U.S. politics, foreign affairs, U.S. business, and entertainment news, and I wake up in the morning and I turn on my TV, and CNN has assembled the custom broadcast for me. That is absolutely possible, and I believe will be a reality through a product like this within the next, let's say, 2 years at the edge. And then just think about the advertising capability that comes along with that. You have the targeting, you have the personalization. I don't know, it's pretty profound.
Let me tell you about a company offline that can help you with that.
Great.
Hi, it's Jeremy with Adobe.
Hey.
We often talk about how we take linear content and repurpose it into digital. Do you ever see with CNNx and all the data you get with respect to audiences and how they're engaging with that content, you ever see that feeding back into the editorial process on the linear side?
Yeah, we do it in 100 different ways today, honestly, and also thank you for the authentication capabilities for Omniture. I'd prefer our license fees be reduced. But, I mean, you can see we have a lot of partners in the room already. But, yeah, we use a ton of different services. We use Chartbeat. We use Omniture. We use our internal real-time monitoring to right now inform how we program our homepage. We do that because we're, I think, a more traditional player. We do that with a lot of human, some would say interference, I would say maybe engagement, in choosing the stories and the placement. But we're starting to now set up, there's a little piece of Mashable, teased this out a couple of weeks ago, kind of creating a control room for all of our digital platforms where we're able to use, through a combination of what you guys do at Omniture, some Outbrain technology, some Chartbeat technology, place different stories on different platforms and see how audiences react to a story on mobile versus desktop, homepage, length of title of a story, the actual headline that's in it. I mean, we are doing that in real time and placing, moving content around. And then this will bring all that to television. And so if we can see this distribution footprint get out there and we can start to see people engage with it on TV, we'll know who's watching what on television how long they're engaging with the segment, what types of stories they're going deep on, and then our editors can make a decision about whether or not to go deeper or longer. I mean, we saw that with the Malaysian airline story. We used real-time data coming in off the web that showed us that audiences were fixated on that story, and we chose to stay with it way longer earlier than any other news network. And we had the highest ratings ever for digital in that March when that story happened, and we had some of the highest ratings on television we've had in 10 years.
Another question in the back? Oh, okay.
Sorry. Tony Bonvalenta. This seems like it's really geared towards a lean forward. The breaking news probably works best with something's happening, and I want to know as much as I can about that story. How well does it work, you know, for, I'm watching, you know, Anthony Bourdain or one of his shows. I'm just curious what your measurements show.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on both sides of this business for a long time, both the traditional TV side and the digital side, and I've always said television people need to make great television. You know, you heard Peter talk about that this morning, and digital people need to make fantastic interactive product. This is a whole new class. I don't know yet. I think that people largely want to lean back and watch a Mad Men or a Game of Thrones, and they don't want a ton of interference, at least I don't. I think there's other things like sporting events, breaking news events where I want to share it, I want to engage, I want to tweet about it, I want to comment on this. And, you know, by and large, the companion or second screen experiences that have been built to date have been really clumsy. You know, you're grabbing an audio cue off the television. The most challenging thing, Rajan can talk to you guys about it in more detail, is syncing the data to the linear feed. Actually, what you're seeing here is an IP feed of the linear broadcast. It looks like it's the linear broadcast, but it's actually an IP feed of the linear broadcast, where we can take off the lower thirds, we can remove graphics out of it. I mean, we can start to really play with that because we have the master coming out and we're controlling what's going in to the home. So all of those component pieces are really important to building the capability to have some interactivity. Do people want to lean in and do a bunch of stuff, or do they want to lean back? That's, for now, all we've done is we've just created, you can go full screen and just lean back and just watch it if you want. You can also squeeze it down and interact.
Actually, I'd love to see, sorry, we don't have much time for questions, but I'd love to see the platform be able to say, I'd like to click a news story, put some other pieces on it, create my own mini newscast, and then send a link out or something so somebody else could see a mini version of CNN, how I see it at that moment, but with more than just video, other things.
Yeah.
Lenny.
First of all, great job.
Thank you.
Absolutely fabulous. I'm curious, considering the amount of dollars and personal commitment from executive on down to the lowest level across the company, how do you see this mapping out towards other properties in the portfolio? I'm thinking about the commitment to Turner Sports, you know, the live original productions like you do with, with Conan O'Brien,
Yep.
other stuff like that. Talk a little bit about the enterprise and how you see that all affecting, because that sort of maps to how does this affect other parts of the industry.
So I
We have
knew,
to close, please.
yeah, and I'll close this out. This could be my
Okay.
last comment. One of the reasons why I'm most bullish about what we're doing here is it ignites so many ideas across so many different spaces. And inside of our company, we have Pete Scott here is with Turner Sports. The kernel of technology that is here and the capabilities, the deep thinking that we've done on this will enable and help every corner of Turner, and potentially will even help other parts of Time Warner like Warner Brothers. We've thought very hard about this. When you break the linear feed of television and you allow somebody to time shift, place shift, bring in ancillary content, it creates so many complicated questions for how you stack advertising. How much freedom do you give somebody? How do you create a user experience that's going to be keep Dewey up at night for years? Create a user experience that's not overwhelming, it's simple, allows people the freedom to do the types of things that they want to do, but doesn't overwhelm them. it is a fantastic and amazing product because it is unleashing and igniting all of these questions for us, for which I will humbly say we don't have all the answers. All I can say is that I think we've done something that's a paradigm shift in the industry. I'm pretty proud of that, and I do think that it'll help a bunch of parts of Turner and Time Warner.
Well, thank you very much. Good work.